We'll go ahead and call our mid-month meeting to order. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for an opportunity to serve the people, Lord. We thank you for those that are serving. Lord, we just pray that you would lead, guide, and direct us throughout this meeting, Lord, that we would be able to make decisions that would be best suited for the majority of our citizens. Lord, we thank you for each of our colleagues this morning. We pray that you would go with us, lead, guide, and direct us. It's in your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. No changes in the agenda, I don't believe, so I'd ask for a motion to accept.
Move, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Trust everyone's looked over the minutes from the January 14th to February the 15th. If so, we call for a motion. Got a motion to hear a second.
I would second that. I do have a question. I think on those 14 minutes where we discussed the using the consultant for the telephone services, was that where we had the letter from the consultant that it would be included? Okay. All right. That's all.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Questions? All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Open the floor to hearing for public comment. If anyone here has anything you want to comment on, feel free to come forth. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Move on down to the presentation of the board. First up be earthquake relief statistics. Mr. Daniel Roden.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I sent a document over to the county manager's office last week that was generated by the OSBM group that kind of detailed some of the payments and some of the approval for payments that they have gone through. And I can only presume that you guys have seen that document as well. But to sum it up, they have written checks for roughly $1 million to local folks in Alleghany County, not including the county or any other nonprofit type organizations. It's only for the individuals. They have approved $3 million worth to this point. So I guess I would, at this point, would just assume open the floor for you guys to ask me questions. If there's any questions about that, where we stand, or, like I said, I didn't generate that document, so I just passed it along, but I'd be happy to try to entertain and answer any questions that I can.
Have they actually started tearing some houses down and replacing, building back yet, or?
The bids went out for the demolition, and they were awarded. I don't think they've started just yet. They were slated for this week. Of course, that's going to be weather dependent, at this point. And then hopefully they can, I think they had sent out the bids for the reconstruction, and they'll be waiting for to get those back in so they can award those out.
Sounds like they're moving right along.
Yeah. And I also want to add too that myself and Dana had some discussions with the school system last week. Apparently, the schools had some damage. We all knew they had some damage. Apparently, their insurance company has denied some of their claims, and their coverage was laughable at best, to be honest with you. But hopefully, they're trying to get that sorted out. But in the meantime, we want to try to figure out a way to help the school system get everything patched up and put back together. The gymnasium had some damage. We want to get all that stuff tidied up for them. So they reached out to me to ask about the possibility of OSBM coming in to help them out too. And then, of course, they were welcome to that. So, we just have got started in that process. We're going to sit down together and try to iron it out. Of course, first of all, we want to try to get their insurance company to pay as much as they will, and
Certainly.
then we'll move forward with that. So.
Anybody else have any questions, Bobby?
I think you said you paid out roughly $1 million
That's
so
right.
far, and you have about $3 million.
Approved altogether. So they've approved additional $2 million at this point.
And when will those checks be?
They're doing some of them on a as repaired basis. I mean, I don't really know how they do that exactly, because it's all managed by that office up there. So.
I think you sent us a list of is quite extensive
Yeah.
of how many people, but there's no dollar amount. Is that a private information?
I think the dollar amounts are in there as they're paid out, perhaps. Like I said, I didn't generate the document, so I'm really not sure.
No, it's just gave a list of names and addresses.
Right.
Of who had received. I didn't know if the amount was something that wouldn't be published in the future, or
I'm really not, I can't honestly answer that question.
do you know of any body that's trying to get their houses redone or refixed that's having any septic tank problems or well
not-
problems?
I've not been made aware of any. I mean, we had some initial complaints of folks that had well issues in very early on, but I haven't received anything else on that.
Those wells probably came back after.
Some of them did, and I know there's been one or two that did not, that collapsed, so.
Do you have any questions? Anybody else? We appreciate it there, Daniel, very much. Mr. David Spicer, facilities update, please.
Mr. Chairman, Board.
Morning.
A few things that we have today, but I want to start out with this little piece of paper here. This is the certificate of occupancy for the new courtroom. So there's that. And of course, we are now, as our department, is putting on finishing touches there in the new courtroom so that it'll be ready to go this week so they can have court next week. So we're right on the money for having those things done. Certainly the old courthouse, or the original courthouse, demolition of the damage from an earthquake is supposed to be starting today. This week we'll be starting, and that should be about an 8-week project. So that's going to be going on. So those things is taking place. You saw the sample for the roofing. Those folks, they have a plan for that. So we've met with them again, and they are on track to get the roof on the front of the courthouse fixed. So we're looking for that to be accomplished real soon as well. Our transfer facility, it's looking good. Those guys out there are working extremely hard to try to make things better. We're going to work on a few other things. It's just something that we're taking a step at a time to try to correct a few things. So the loader's still working, by the way. So that's all good, and we've got all that up and doing good. The new fuel tank that we purchased, it's up and running. We have not got the containment poured for it yet, but we are working on that. So we're gaining ground on that. The brush there, the brush grinding should be beginning pretty soon. Because of the foul weather, the fellow that's coming to do that has had some difficulties in getting his equipment out. It's been so muddy, he's not been able to get his equipment out and up here and get set up, but I'm looking for that in the next couple of weeks. So that should be a good thing for us to have that done. The Sheriff's Department, as I mentioned last meeting, the LP tank pad that is there at the Sheriff's Department, damaged by the earthquake. We have looked at that. Dana Phillips and I went and looked at it. I've got an estimate from G&B, still waiting on one from Church and Church for concrete, but they're going to help us with that because of it being earthquake damage. So he said, we'll try to get you some money for that. So all he needed was the estimates, and they was going to take care of that. So hopefully we'll get that done here in a short time as well. The Daymark building, all that's in the hands of the insurance company right now. So the estimates did come in, and they were considerably more than what the adjuster had originally said it should cost. So they're going to be in negotiations with the contractors themselves to get that worked out. So that our part was to have a couple of folks come up and give some quotes, and then send it to the insurance company, and the insurance company is taking care of the rest. So that's going to be ongoing, so we'll have that fixed back. The health department roof, right now we're waiting. We've got some rain now coming in, so we've got that patched. We bought some material to patch that, about 500 square feet of material to use on that roof while it was dry and the weather was good. So we're waiting to see if that patch is going to hold. So hopefully that patch will hold and everything will be good, and that'll buy us some time on the roof at the health department. So the black building, things is still going well for the COVID shots. The health department is really doing a good job of getting people in, getting people out. We're trying to make sure that they're good and warm. So we've had to spend a little bit of money, but that's okay. We want the people of Alleghany County to have the best, so that's what we was after on that. They're burning the brush out at the fairgrounds today, so that big brush pile is going to be gone. Those things is taking place, and the new signs for the folks who have donated, those signs are up. So things is looking up. We've gotten a few things accomplished, and we're still working on some things, and we're going to keep working on things to make Alleghany a shining light for the rest of the state. So that's all I have as far as updates on things to do. I'll entertain any questions that you might have.
Questions? John?
When will the ribbon cutting be for the new courthouse?
That's something that we have not discussed yet, so we've got a week or so to work on that, but I'll make sure that all of you are aware of when that's going to take place. I'm sure that there's some coordination with the judges and the clerk of court's office and those things that we'll need to do. So when that is all, we're going to do it's being cleaned, but we're going to clean it again and get it all set up, and then we'll work on that part.
Understand that the new tank is for the diesel.
Yes, sir.
Do we now have a capability of measuring the outflow and to secure the pump?
Yes, sir. We bought an electric pump that pumps 20 gallons a minute. It has an automatic nozzle on it, so if somebody gets distracted, it's not going to run out on the ground. And it does have a meter on it, so it measures the gallons that comes out of the tank and goes into the piece of equipment.
Are you now maintaining a logbook to measure or keep a record of how much is pumped and who gets it?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
each piece of equipment will be listed on that, and the amount of fuel that goes in that piece of equipment, that's written down in a log. Yes, sir.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, David.
Yes,
Anybody
sir.
else? Mark?
Just a couple. One, it's not really a question. This is just kind of an observation. Seeing, and it's kind of this time of year is bad for it, but a lot of trash out on the roadways, and folks are complaining. And some of the complaints are this because we have changed the hours at the transfer station. I believe that's very lame for folks to blame that. I mean, folks need to cover their trash and take more pains whenever they're getting out there. And we all need to work together to keep this county cleaned up. So that's kind of a public statement, I guess. I really hate to see somebody try to throw blame somewhere. I mean, we got a great facility over there and a lot of folks working hard. Yeah, it may have changed and may have caused some folks to have to change a little bit, but I believe that, we provide what we need to, and for that to be that's not a valid excuse, I don't think. 90 South Main Street building, what's going on with it? What's its status, the old?
We have been trying over the last few weeks to get together. I think Michael and myself and maybe Travis and possibly even Daniel to get together to go look at that building to see if we can open up the front. We have done some work on the inside as far as the roof structure is or the ceiling structure is concerned. So we have taken care of all of those things, and we was going to look at those things. It's just that we've had some more pressing issues, and we've not gotten to that part yet, but we will in the near future and try to get the front opened up. But we want to make sure that we look at that.
Don't do anything, don't rush on my part. I was just curious. I hadn't heard anything, and I was just
Yes.
wondering how it was going there.
And some of that will be in the earthquake repairs that will be taken care of at a later date. Our insurance company, we're working with our insurance company to bring those things to a head. So hopefully we'll, in the real near future,
Okay,
we'll
thank
get that taken care of.
Yeah, that's all I have, Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
The-
Mr. Chairman, if I could, if you would expand on what the problems are with 90 South Main, because a lot of the public is not aware of the damage that was incurred there. If you could just give a brief explanation of what's going on.
At 90 South Main, the front of the building, the underneath structure, the foundation of that building, during the earthquake sank and caused a low place to happen there in front of the building, which one of the columns is lower now, and the brick work is cracked. It's not real severe, but it's bad enough till we need to look at it to make sure that it is safe for the folks to go in and out of the building. We've had the front of that building corded off with caution tape since the earthquake, so that we make sure that our public is safe, and we want to make sure that is taken care of. But inside, there's some of the ceiling structures had given way, and the ceilings had dropped, and ceiling tiles had fell out. The building, of course, has settled down since then, so we're going to look at that and see if we can't bring that back up to speed. You have
Back to the new courthouse, do we have any plans to put any signage up that this is courthouse number 2 or whatever, and take down all the old signage?
Yes, sir. The old signs have been taken down and stored. We have not worked on, I guess a new sign needs to be designed, and I'm having a sign made now for judges parking around back, and we'll know that the transport van will park around back, but we have not got a sign as far as courtroom number 2 or design on that for this present time. But
And then you were talking about the brush pile that you were burning, and now there's a second brush pile behind the barn, behind the animal barn.
yes, sir.
With that, somebody's piled up a pile of sawdust. So when that one's being burned, that sawdust needs to be, put on that fire also to try to get rid of it.
Yes, sir.
Do you have plans on that one while it's this week, while it's raining?
It would be a good time, and I have not, I spoke briefly to the Sparta Fire Department. The Sparta Fire Department is who's doing that for us. I spoke to one of the members there this morning. He's using the tractor to make sure that the pile is pushed up and all of it burns up cleanly. But I have not talked to him about the second brush pile, but yes, sir, I knew that was there.
Thank you.
Sir.
May I add one comment about 90 South Main? If you recall back, I'm just going to say a few months, but after the earthquake had hit, we actually brought an engineering group in here aside from what the state provided to do an assessment of the facilities. 90 South Main was not deemed to be anything of structural nature. So Although we do have some caution tape, that is merely caution tape to help in case of. There is one outside aesthetic brick column that is questionable, but that is the purpose for that caution tape. Structurally inside, they found nothing that would eliminate or cause people not to visit that facility. I just want to add that for the record.
That's a good comment. We appreciate that. David, I'd just like to commend the job you do, your leadership over in the maintenance department, and everything's moving along, and you guys are getting a lot done, and I know you've had a plate full for the last good while. But it's all coming together, and we greatly appreciate that.
Thank you. I've got a real good staff, and they work really hard in making sure Alleghany County is in good shape.
Appreciate that very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Financial update. Ms. April Ham, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
And I need to hand you some paperwork.
Here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Crash.
What you have in front of you is our monthly financial update. Year-to-date revenue as of today, $11,734,663.04. Expenditures, $11,067,021.28, and then the approved budget was at $16,823,75. The revenue is right at 69.8% of the budget. Expenditures are 65.8% of the approved budget, and we're about 70.8% into the budget. A bank balance as of today, $9,692,821.81. Bank balance a year ago at the end of March was $5,919,503.42. And the unaudited fund balance, I will keep stressing that, unaudited, $4,032,111.02, which comes out to be about 24% of the approved budget. And then below you have the previous 3 months report, so you can compare. Anyone have any questions on those figures?
Questions?
If you'll turn to the second page, this is something that we've added to the financial report. This is actually sales tax comparison from this time last year. So the top of your report is fiscal year 20 through the end of March of 2020. We had collected $517,059.39, saying too many numbers this morning. As of this fiscal year to date, $738,967.22. And just for a little bit of education, that is 87.6% of what was budgeted for the year in that revenue line. Any questions about sales tax that I can answer?
Keeps inching on up a little bit.
It
Bob.
is.
And I think I've asked this before on sales tax. When people order from Amazon or whatever, these online companies, some of them charge a sales tax, some of them don't charge a sales tax. How does the state report back to Alleghany County how much sales tax was generated from online sales or out-of-state sales?
I'm not sure about that, and I know some of those online entities, the sales tax actually goes to the location where they are. So if they're in Oregon or Seattle or Raleigh, North Carolina, the sales tax actually comes back to where the company is located. I'm not sure how it's done with like Amazon. I mean, Amazon is a big company, and I even order from Amazon. It's pretty simple and easy, so I'm not sure about that, though.
Since being a commissioner, I've started looking at the sales tax. And some companies charge a sales tax, some companies don't. But I just wonder how it comes into how Alleghany receives it. That's my question.
Yes, now we receive it as a lump sum every month through the North Carolina Department of Revenue, but how it filters through a larger company like Amazon, I don't have that information.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if it's true or not, but I've been told that if they have a store in North Carolina, then the sales tax comes to North Carolina. The state distributes it by the zip code of the delivery location. So if you order it and they say 28675, the magic computer in the sky says Alleghany County gets so much of that on down. But I will not swear to it. It's too logical for the government to do it that way, so I won't swear by it.
Sounds proper, don't it?
Yep.
Anybody have any other questions? Do you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, at this time, we want to come on up, Chris. We want to introduce our new Recreation Director, Mr. Chris Martin.
Hello, everyone.
Chris.
Thank you for having me. I know several faces, some faces I don't. I am Chris Martin. I've been a paramedic here in the county for 9 years, and in the past 2 weeks, I've transitioned over to Parks and Rec Director. In that 2 weeks, I've gotten my feet wet. I've learned a lot. I've visited some facilities, and I've figured out that I've still got a lot more to learn and keep figuring out. Since I've been here, I would like to thank some people, the folks in this office that have been able to answer questions. My neighbors upstairs have been very helpful in giving me guidance. Even the past two directors that were in my position before have answered a lot of questions and given me guidance. I've been in contact with the athletic directors from the middle school, the high school, some of the local coaches, trying to figure out the way the fields work and the way the high school and middle school sports are rolling through with the COVID right now. They've all been very helpful. I really need to thank maintenance department. Obviously, this program's been shut down for a long time. COVID put a stop to everything. That means tools walk away, equipment's not running anymore. Every time I've called, maintenance has been there. They've got stuff going for me, equipment where I need it. Very helpful. That said, my primary reason for being here today, and I requested to speak with you guys, is because, one, I need to get approval from you as a board for sports to continue. Surrounding counties, everyone has continued except for the best of my knowledge. Grayson County has decided to put off sports until fall. So one is to get approval from you folks on sports. And if we do get the sports approved, everybody just has to keep in mind how long this program's been shut down. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of field maintenance to do just to get the sports going. I've been in contact, like I said, with the directors from the other schools. If any of you guys follow high school and middle school sports, everything is happening now. You've got football going on, you've got men's soccer stopping, women's soccer starting, and then you've got, middle school baseball and softball. Everything is starting, and we almost have a shortage of fields with everything colliding at one time like that. I feel like with the field maintenance that needs to be done and trying to work together with the schools to use these fields, the best that I can do is to have stuff up and going for summer sports once school is out. Currently on Davis Field, just as an example, you've got people trying to play baseball while they're having soccer practice in the outfield. There's just not enough room, and in my opinion, enough time for me to get the fields ready. That being said, if you guys do approve, and we approved to start the summertime sports. I have been in contact with Ashe County as far as, I've had calls from people that are used to playing in the Tar Heel League, and they want those kids playing baseball and softball, obviously. Registration's been going on for a month in Ashe County. We do have a local team that I was told about. It happened prior to me taking this position. You have a group of parents that have put together what they're calling a travel team, and basically they are playing in the Babe Ruth League through Surrey County. 12 years and up, I believe, is the group that they've taken, which I've also been told is a substantial number for that age group here. I've been in contact with Ashe County. They, in turn, were in contact with the Tar Heel League Division II representative, I believe, from Watauga. They've gotten approval for Alleghany kids to come play in their league because they are ready. Technically, their registration ends today, but they have granted Alleghany kids that want to come play baseball and softball. They're going to give them through this week to come over and register if they choose to do that. The Tar Heel League doesn't need any approval, but Ashe County asked that I get approval from you guys just to make sure you're okay with our kids going over there and playing. There is a form that would have to be filled out. I would sign it as a representative of the county for each individual child that's going over there to play. I'd have to get the word out as fast as possible. Their drafts are the only thing they can't extend because the Tar Heel League is ready to start playing baseball now. Their drafts are going to be, baseball's on the 20th, and then softball drafts, we've got the 23rd and the 25th. So Alleghany kids would have from now till then to get their registrations turned in. Again, if with your folks' approval. And that's about all I have for now, unless you guys have any questions for me. I'll do my best to answer.
You got any questions?
I have a question.
Michelle?
What's the outlook of opening the pool this summer?
That's a good question. I've had probably the most conversation with Mr. Spicer about that. I obviously, I don't build pools. I don't work on pools. Just from what I've seen from going through the facility, it's been shut down a long time, and there's tiles missing. I see a lot of ways for kids to get hurt in that pool right now, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what damage was there prior to. According to Mr. Spicer, there's damage that has also come from earthquake. Be some time involved, but we can get some estimates to see how much it's going to take to fix it. Honest opinion, just looking at past numbers and guessing how much money is going to need to be put back into that pool, I don't foresee it being feasible. But that's not a decision for me. I'm here to do what you guys tell me to do. Monetary wise, I don't know. Drew got me in contact with an individual as far as how that money was granted and how that pool has to stay in function or as a recreational facility. He just got back to me this morning. There's some paperwork I'm gonna have to track down to see how that pool has to be used and the time frame that it had to be used in. And I'm unclear about that right now.
Chairman, may I add a comment to that?
Yes, sir.
Everything that Chris says, I agree with. I think that it may be prudent for us at a work session to allow to collect some additional information that could help in making better informed decisions about the use of that pool for the upcoming year. It also allows for us to know exactly, as he mentioned, is it pool related? Is it recreation related? Are there options that we could utilize that space for that does not include a pool? I just think that is a broad topic that we could better address after.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need a good work session. Everybody sit down and discuss this and see where we're at on that too.
I will do my best to get my hands on the exact paperwork that says what the property has to be used for and the
Right,
time frame that it
right.
has to be used in. Personal opinion, there's a lot of things that could be turned into rather than a pool. Money and usage would all be better for the county.
It's going back to the games. Is there going to be much of a conflict because Ash is ready? You said they're
Ash,
we got to get cranked up and going. So
they've been registering, and I don't know the exact dates, but I'd say it's probably been about a month since the Ashe County Commissioners approved sports. Ashe County's got about 6 people that were primed and ready to go. You know, ever since COVID shut them down, they have specific people over each sport. They have specific people over the fields. So when COVID shut them down, it became a work opportunity for them. You know, they got fields ready. They bettered things that needed to be worked on and they didn't otherwise have the time to do. COVID precautions have been put in place. They had these people working on this stuff. So the minute that the commissioner said sports are approved, you know, within 24 hours, registration was open and they were ready to go. They were also in conjunction with Watauga and the Tar Heel League because numbers are down. Even though sports are opening back up, you still have there's a lot of people that are still scared. They don't want their kids playing sports right now. I don't have the time and the field ready and working in conjunction with middle school and high school sports, the facility to get it done. And that's why I contacted Ashe County. So at least these kids have some opportunity to go play.
yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, as I'm looking at this, we've got 2 questions. One, do we want to open up sports for the summer?
Yes, sir.
If we decide that we would like to open up sports for the summer, the next question is, do we want to authorize our kids to go to Ashe? Am I correct in that?
Yeah, summertime sports, like I said, the majority of the stuff, the softball and the baseball, joining in the Tar Heel League is the biggest thing going right now. The majority of the sports that start once school is out and summertime hits are the littler kids that are just doing inter-county sports. So right now, you would be approving sports to open up in general here.
Okay.
But as far as the kids going to Ashe County, that is a right now thing that we can't provide anyway, and you're giving approval for them to play with another county.
So we still got 2 questions, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion that we open up sports for the county for the summer of
Second,
2021.
Got a motion and second to open up sports for the 2021. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0.
Now you need a motion to authorize,
The way initially when I contacted Ashe County, they said that they thought it was mandatory that you had commissioner approval for a child to come to another county. Once they contacted the District 2 leader in Watauga, Tar Heel League does not require your approval, but Ashe County requested your approval just to make sure you were good with it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion that we approve that request.
Got a motion here, a second.
Second, I got a question.
Got a second, go ahead, Bobby, got a question.
Is there any liability that we're looking at, being able to go,
There is.
letting our young people travel?
That's a complicated question, because it depends on how they're being transported over there, what the insurance is that is already being provided for them to play in sports, which I don't have that information, so I can't just tell you right off the cuff, because it involves a little bit more than just saying there is or there isn't liability. And I'd have to have another discussion, a little bit more detailed to figure that out and be able to tell you for sure.
That would only enter in if the county was providing transportation, correct?
It could be if that's what is being included in providing, or the kids going to Ashe County.
I mean, this would be, they are joining this on an individual basis on their own. Their parents would be responsible for transport to games, to practices, to everything. It's giving them an outlet to play baseball and softball right now.
So no county buses are going?
No county buses will be transporting. They're joining them independently. Now, as far as insurance, I know, when we have county soccer and softball, we're providing that umbrella insurance. I would have to call and find out. I can call Kevin and Candace and Ash, but I would assume their same umbrella policy is going to be covering these children while they're playing.
wouldn't
But
that
transport in between is up to the parents.
Wouldn't that be the parents' responsibility to ensure that their children are insured under the ASH? Because we're just authorizing them to go to
That's
ASH.
exactly right.
you know, a parent does have responsibility, but we haven't gotten that deep into the socialist realm, I hope.
And there is paperwork, which I've not seen yet, it's not been sent over yet, that Ash Parks and Rec will send to me. I mentioned earlier that we have to sign, and if I'm not mistaken, that includes waivers and such. As soon as I get a copy of that, I can get it to you, and I will do my best to get a copy of that today.
Please.
Okay.
I just know that when I was coaching, that the student had to have insurance either through the school system or they had to turn it down. They had a waiver that they would turn it down. I just want to be sure that that child, either whether it's privately or through the county, is covered if something happens. Because somebody's going to break an arm, break a leg, or,
Yes, sir.
you know, something's going to happen usually.
Right.
Just kind of a little bit more drilling down on that question. So the kids will be actually signing up on Ashe County paperwork, but
Sir.
there'll be some type of an agreement between our department and theirs that we're going to have a joint venture, but they're actually not going to be signing up on Alleghany.
They're not signing up in Alleghany. The paperwork that we are signing is basically each individual child, the parent has to sign, and me as a representative of the county saying that it's okay for them to go to another county and play.
Okay,
And then they will sign up, register, they will do everything through Ashe County.
okay, thanks.
Any other questions? We got a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0.
Say welcome aboard, you get something done.
There you go.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Now, as far as the copy of the waivers, you folks want one and you would like one, I will do my best to get that for you today.
Right.
Especially the attorney to look at.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on down, general business, recreation sports direction.
I believe we just handled that one.
That done been gone through everything. All right, special meeting procedures, number 2.
We discussed this a couple of meetings ago, and we never we wanted to handle special meetings, taking action, discussion, or
Sir,
You know, we did discuss it, and I've been thinking about it, Mr. Chairman. We can take action in a special meeting because there's 3 commissioners or more involved. I am, like Commissioner Leffman, I am uncomfortable taking action whenever the public is not necessarily advised of what we're doing. So I would recommend that if we have a special meeting, that it be broadcast, that way the public can see why we are taking the votes on the subjects that we're taking and the actions that we're taking. Other than that, I have no problems with the special meeting procedures. It's just, let's broadcast so that everybody knows what is going on out in the public. Thank you, Mr.
yes.
Chairman.
Yes, I-
Mark,
If we take action in any meeting, personally, I feel like we need to publish an agenda beforehand, just like we do our regular meetings. And put it out just like we do our regular meetings if we're expecting action to be taken. You know, I feel like if we don't do it that way, you know, there's a letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and if you'll look at some of our documentation, it talks about making any decisions that this board makes based off of any data that we're given. That same data should be provided to the public during that same meeting. The reason for that is obviously, you know, transparency and perception. You know, I'm afraid if we continue like a few recent meetings, we're going to open a Pandora's box here. It's going to be hard to close back. I think if we're going to take action in any meeting, all of those meetings need to be treated the same. And so that's my thoughts on on how we would do any meetings. And then, of course, that does bring into the ability for them to be recorded and aired if the folks choose to watch it. If they don't, that's on them. But I've sat here for about 6 years, and we have a day meeting and a night meeting traditionally, a few work sessions from time to time. Now we have a kind of a permanently scheduled work session, and then we've been working on a few extra here and there. Back whenever we just have the day meeting and the night meeting, there are times whenever we put something on the day meeting and we're get accused of trying to keep it from the public, and the people can't be there because they're working. So, I mean, and that's all been taped and videoed and live streamed. So I just fear that if we don't do that with these work sessions, it could get out of hand. And so that's my preference.
So you're saying make the agendas public prior to the meeting? Right. John mentioned doing the broadcast, so I'm good either way. If you have a work session, it's a discussion period to air things out, you know. But I'm good either direction we want to go, really. Anybody else have any questions about it?
Are you looking for a motion to modify the rules of procedures to that effect, sir?
I've got a comment.
Because we currently can take action. We'll say that we're not going to broadcast.
And I will,
Ask Charlie to be here for.
then I will make a motion that we publish an agenda and that all work sessions be recorded electronically.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion, second. Let's pause right here. Bobby's got a question.
You know, I don't have any problem with any meeting being broadcast. You know, because hardly ever anybody comes to our daytime meeting, hardly anybody ever comes to our nighttime meeting. It's not saying that we're trying to do something sneaky. People just don't come to the meetings. Very few people do. I agree that we should have an agenda, that's fine. But on the agenda, I would like this agenda has nothing for what's for action, what's for discussion. It's just a general agenda. I think we ought to have, if we're going to vote on something, then there should be some line that says action, for action. It's like Chris giving his talk today about the sports opening up. We had no background as what he was going to say, and I think there was legitimate questions asked about insurance. We voted on stuff we don't know if they were covered or not covered for insurance. We're assuming that we're covered. I think we should at least have a time period to do the agenda, review information, and then make the decision instead of making a knee-jerk decision on somebody that's presenting something that they don't have all the information on and the commissioners don't have all the information on. As to broadcasting, I think it should be, everything should be broadcast. I don't know that this commission has ever done anything to try to be sneaky about anything. Now, as to having Charlie do it, I don't know what his schedule is. He runs that business. That's his end of the business. I don't know that we can control Charlie. I'm assuming that he'll be here, but that's up to him. That's not up to us to make him record these. But if he can't be, then we can at least have a recording, you know, with a tape recorder or something. So if somebody has a question, that might be a fallback. But I'm all in favor of having an agenda. I'd like to see something for action or something for information. But other than that, I have no problem.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second to make it public broadcast and to put the agenda out there prior to the meetings.
How does the motion read on the,
Number 5. You want it?
it's fine.
Just for
Yeah.
clarification, we're recording. I think he
Electronically.
did one, the last one we did, he recorded. Was that live streamed or was that just?
I said electronically, therefore it can be by voice only, it can be by video. It gives us some leeway.
The reason for my question is our regular meetings are live streamed. You know, we just need to clarify, do we want to live stream work sessions or do we just want to digitally record them? I'm okay with just recording them so that we have a copy, something to fall back on.
That's up
But
to
I
the
just wanted-
availability of
Just for
Charlie.
clarification.
Yeah. Okay, we leave that up to his availability, or is that what you're saying?
I mean, whatever the board wants to do.
Right.
You're right, but like
It does
Bobby
get,
said, we can't.
We'd like
we can't-
electronic recording placed in there.
We can't dictate that Charlie do
Yeah.
any of that, but we can ask him and hope that he can provide it.
motion to publish the agenda, electronic recordings available for all work sessions and moving forward. All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Okay, moving on down. Sign budget committee members for the upcoming budget. I'll tell you that will be myself and Bobby as vice chair, finance director and her assistant, and both managers.
Is that a motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Second.
Motion second, any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you all for agreeing to that commitment. I know it's big. I
Okay.
imagine it's big. I don't really know how big it is.
Next up is solid waste contract.
Chairman, I'll take that if that's okay. In your packet, beginning on page 7, you have the proposed agreement from Republic Services for your solid waste disposal and transportation for the next 5 years. And it is a fairly standard solid waste agreement. You do have in front of you a suggested modification from our attorney, which I have forwarded on to Republic Services for their inclusion. I did receive an email back from Republic saying that he felt that would not be an issue, but he has to have his legal people review it as well. Now, the one benefit that I will point out about this agreement, county's currently paying $56.89 per ton. This agreement lowers that to $49 per ton. Now, included in that is a $2 North Carolina solid waste fee, which is included in the $56 as well. But in addition to that fee, you're also paying an environmental fee of $7.50 that will go on top of this $49. But the overall savings of what you are currently paying and what you would be paying with this contract is roughly $7.89 less per ton.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
We accepted the bids for the solid waste. We had 2 bidders. I do not think that we accepted a bid yet. Do we not need to accept the bid before we start making a contract?
If you remember, the 2 bids, one bid provided for disposal and transportation, one did not.
Okay,
So
but we never took a formal vote that I remember.
did not take a formal vote. We took a formal visit
Okay,
to the facility in which we negotiated with the service provider to a rate. This is what is before you.
I believe it would be prudent, Mr. Chairman, to make a motion to accept the bid from Republic as a CYAWP, and after that, accept the contract, sir. So I will make a motion to accept the bid from Republic.
Where's the bid?
We've already had the bids presented to us.
Well, wasn't that negotiated?
Let Michael go ahead here.
Just a moment, okay. So the bid proposals that I sent out, you had copies of both of those. I don't, and here's the one would know, but I don't know that you kept the original bid proposal because we negotiated that. If you accept the original bid proposal, you're locked into that bid proposal. That's why negotiation occurs.
Okay.
So if we've done our formal negotiation with the provider, and you now have in front of you an agreement that reflects that negotiation, from my perspective, that is what you consider. But I will defer to our attorney if I'm incorrect.
If the attorney is satisfied that we are covered, then I will make a motion that we, well, before I make that motion, I've got a couple of questions. There is no mention of special waste in this contract. So we are still going to have, the county is going to have to take care of the special waste,
don't
the
have to.
tires and the white goods.
If you consider that special waste, yes, sir, that's correct. Which is the
So
current-
it's not, the special waste, the tires, the white goods are not included in the contract.
It is as it is currently.
And another change is Republic's going to come up and pick up the trailers and carry them down? We're not going to do that anymore? Am I reading that correct?
Which trailers?
That we put our solid waste in?
They're a sub, their transporter's a sub to Republic now.
Okay. So there's no change as far as that. I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we accept the contract at this time.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second on the current contract?
I would ask that you include with the modification.
With the
Provided
modification,
by our attorney for consideration.
as modified by the county attorney, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
What got a question?
go ahead.
What happens if they don't accept the modification?
That's why I asked to have that included, then it doesn't hem you into something.
So then we're ready to go back again.
That's right.
Got a motion? Do I hear a second?
I'd second it.
A motion and a second. Motion to approve the solid waste agreement with modifications. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. 5-0. Thank you. Okay, next up is the general fund budget amendment. This is April Ham.
What you have in your packets is a budget amendment for JCPC funds. Last year, it was budgeted below the revenue that was actually coming in for JCPC funds. The budgeted amount in this year's budget was actually budgeted at $57,665, but we're actually going to be receiving $69,774 for that program. So we just need to add the revenue and the expenditure to those lines for JCPC.
That's not coming from the taxpayer.
It is not.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all raise your right hand. 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now the next up is the request for a refund. Ms. Rita Miller, the tax lady.
Good morning.
Morning.
Excuse me, the request for refund is William Gibson, when we sent out the revaluation notices, he noticed on his assessment that his acreage had changed, and upon further review of that, we did find where we had been over-assessing him. We had assessed him at 3.5 acres when it's actually 2.44, and per statute, we can refund him upon board approval for 5 years of that overpayment of tax. So the request is for a refund of $328.20.
Please bring the microphone down a little bit, Ms. Miller. I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman, that we refund for the mistake that the county made.
Have a motion to make the refund for $328.20. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion and a second by Michelle. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 5-0. Moving on down, just go ahead, read them, and,
The only thing that wasn't in your packet for the consent agenda was the license plate agency month-end figures. We don't usually get those in until after I've submitted the packet. So the transactions were 1,182 transactions, no errors, no overage or shortages, and the compensation was $3,598.98.
okay. We need a motion on that.
I have no questions on the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman, and I will make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second motion.
Motion, a second, any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. 5-0.
And if it's okay, it's not on the agenda. I just wanted to let you and the public know that we do have a foreclosure sales coming up tomorrow at 11:30 at the courthouse. There's 3 lots in the Whispering Pines subdivision in Piney Creek, so that's at 11:30 at the courthouse.
The old courthouse.
The old courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on down to county manager comments.
You'll see on page 26, your February building inspection report. I encourage you to look over that. There's been some questions about the previous ability for the county to receive some grass seed from various sources. So on pages 27 through 29, you have letters indicating both from Soil and Water and Extension on the contacts and individuals that they have discussed this with. It continues to be ongoing. I think there are different maybe possible grants that are being looked at, but this is just a continuation of some of the previous discussions. Couple of other items. You listened to various options on the relocation of dispatch, and we left that meeting with basically a third-party option that was presented to the board. And I will tell you that I've been in email contact with the individual who made that presentation. And the last email I received was actually last week, and he is awaiting one quote back. So I do not have anything further to identify on that possible location. And as an additional, we also had a meeting with some of the members of the Lions Club as we try to move forward with different thoughts and ideas on that facility. They are aware of it being a possible location. Some good thoughts and ideas on the use of it, and they have, I think, a couple of rentals already in place for the next couple of months, and they're looking at some improvements that may need to be done to that facility as well. But we've opened that line of dialogue up with them to include them in these conversations so that it is not something that just appears. So those are the only comments that I have today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Moving on down, county commissioner comments. Mr. Start over with Mark over here.
I don't have much. I just, sounds good on the, what the maintenance department's doing and all the progress in the new court facility. I'm sure they will be very pleased, or they should be anyway. And welcome to our new rec director. Wish you lots of luck. I know you'll be, it'll be a flurry when you get into it, but, just stay the course, and we appreciate you doing that. And, thanks for reaching out to the Lions Club to have that, initiate that conversation so that they're not taken by surprise. And hopefully springtime's among us and some more sun like we had last week will come to, sounds like we're gonna get a little more rain to settle the mud this week, but, everybody be careful. You know, accidents, happen a lot in the spring when folks start to get out, and, just encourage everybody to still play it safe. And we're not totally free of COVID, but sunshine and recreation and things opening up, hopefully it will continue to be diminished, and will, and of course then with the vaccinations coming, I think that's helped a lot of folks too. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Bobby?
A couple things on Mark's comments about the trash on the side of the road. For last couple of weeks, I've had to travel back and forth to Winston and to Raleigh. And one of Suzanne and my comments is how much trash is on the roads. It's not just Alleghany County. And I don't think it has anything to do with the new hours infill. It's just some people just don't care. They just throw trash out. But it's not just an Alleghany problem. The other thing is the grass seed report. Tell you the truth, I'm very disappointed in both those reports. I see nothing that they've gone to the Department of Agriculture to ask for help. They've talked about NC State. I see nothing that they've asked any of our local representatives, Deanna Ballard, Sarah Stevens, any of those people for extra help. That's disappointing. And to say that we don't have the way to spread grass seed, I broadcast almost all my grass seed. A lot of people do too. And 2 years ago when they had a program up, that was one of the best years I had that following spring. So broadcast does work. It may not be 100% the way NC State wants it, but it does put grass in the ground. The other quick comment about septic tanks. All of us have had phone calls, I think, regarding the time period for inspections on septic tanks. And I believe the health department, I talked to Michael and I talked to Jennifer Green. She sent out a schedule. Average day unit first visits for Alleghany County is 14 days. Average day until issuance is 19 days. The district average on issues is 27 days. We're ahead right there. Now, the weather's had a big problem with it, all the rain, and a lot of these people that work, all these people that work in the septic tank and wells also work for the health department, and they've been helping in COVID. They've been trying to get as many shots in people's arms as possible. Now, what happens when one of these retailers or the builders call me or retail calls, I asked them what day they put in their permit, what day did they pay for their fee. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I've heard that it's going to take 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. Don't just go by what you hear. You got to follow the process. Go pay your money, get in line, and then if you have a problem, then let I would say let the county manager, Drew, know. They'll get a hold of the health department, and they'll tell you when they expect to get there and do that inspection. Just don't fly off the handle and say, well, somebody told me it was 4 weeks, 8 weeks, or 9 weeks. I know the realtors want these approved as fast as they can so they can get their money for selling property. But a lot of times it's not what it seems. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start off, we've been talking about the road trash. I found this in my box, come from Miles Realty, Susan Miles. But they're having a litter cleanup, and it's every Saturday in March. They meet at 9 a.m. down at Miles Realty, and they've got all the supplies, the bags, the gloves, safety vests. And that's, if people want to volunteer, that's a good place right there to meet on Saturday morning. They'll get everybody supplies and get lined up, and we could all chip in and help do that a little bit some Saturday during March. And there is a lot of trash out there. There's been a tremendous amount of wind this winter, and that's been part of it. But we all could chip in and help out a little bit on getting it picked up and clean the county up some. So just remember, Drew, reckon we can get that on the county website? That'd be good, and maybe the Alleghany News pick up on that a little bit. Give us a little help there so people know about it. The other things, the courtroom, and David has done a great job, and that is coming to a close, the new courtroom, and we'll have our old courtroom in business in a couple of months, and everything will be closed out and doing good. And certainly want to welcome Chris. Be a big asset here and get the kids back to playing sports and get things rocking along. And don't forget your vaccine shots. That's all still going on at the health department what is that schedule, 2 days, 3 days a week?
I think Wednesday.
Wednesdays and Fridays. Don't forget that. You can call and get your shots there. And if anybody wants to volunteer to help out there a little, they always need a few to help out to take care of everybody. That's all I have. Michelle?
I also want to bring up the trash issue. I've seen it myself, and I've heard a lot about it, and all I'm going to say is that would you throw trash down in your living room or your kitchen and just walk away and leave it? I don't think so. I hope you wouldn't, but this is all our house, this whole county, and we've got to work to keep it clean. I also want to expand a little bit on what Bobby said. The health department has hired another person to assist doing perk tests. So that person is currently in training, and that should help out a whole lot. Again, the vaccines, also our local drugstores are doing vaccines too, and I believe that we're going into phase 4 this week, so of 5 phases. So that just about includes most people. I personally got the shot myself a couple of weeks ago and didn't have any problems at all. So I'll be glad to get rid of these things and get back to normal life. I want to give a shout out to our fire departments who put out numerous brush fires last week. With the rain, I guess that's one thing we have to look forward to. Hopefully it'll take our fire threat down a whole lot, but there's a lot of debris out there, so we got to be careful with call and get your burning permit. Make sure it's safe to do that. And I am extremely excited about sports opening back up. Glad to have you on board. That was a huge part of my childhood, some of my greatest memories. Going to the pool, going to the tennis court, playing softball in the summer. I think the kids are raring to go to be able to get outside and do some things. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. John?
Welcome aboard, Chris. Just remember, whenever you have the gray hair that I have, you ask for this. It is going to be, it's good to have you here. Put up the sports for the county and give these kids an outlet for some of that energy. Courtroom is looking good. They're opening up, I believe, 2 weeks early. We felt that they said they would be finished by the last of March. We're going to beat that a little bit. I've been by several times, enough to where they don't ask who I am now. So I guess that's a good one, and it is really looking good. One thing I'd like to point out to the county, well, two things. With the lockdowns, we are back up with foster kids. Last number that I had was 49. Please remember, we only have now 3 families that can take foster children. That means 46 children are spread out all over North and South Carolina, and the Department of Social Services are having to go, and it's mandatory. They've got to meet with that child at least once a month. And this is a direct result of the COVID. The opioid use is up an estimated 29% because people are home, and the government's giving them money so they can go out. Don't have to do a thing. All you got to do is just wait until the next stimulus comes in. I got notification yesterday, mine will be in Wednesday, so that gives them the opportunity to purchase, use, and whenever bad things happen, we end up taking care of the child. As you are well aware, today we assigned the budget committees. Please be aware, citizens, whenever county commissioners started looking at the budget, we have an input on approximately about 10%. If I remember correctly, it was about $1.8 million is that portion of the budget that we can influence, vote on, over an $17 million budget last year. So we're looking around somewhere between 85 and 90%. The rest of it we've got to pay for. So if you don't give us your input, you don't let the county commissioners know where you want your money to be spent, we're going to do the best job that we can of spreading it out. You've got to let us know. If you are not going to participate, don't complain. It's bottom line. The squeaky wheel is going to get the grease. So look at it, be aware of it. Our work sessions, we try and keep everything out in the open so that you will know what we are doing and where we're coming from. We don't hide that much except that which we have to do legally. And even at that, under the sunshine laws, you can request the minutes. The minutes may not tell you too much, and a lot of times we will get in there and we will cuss and we will discuss, and you aren't going to get to minutia, but everything is available under the sunshine laws of the state of North Carolina. Other than that, have a great day. Spring is finally sprung, and the dandelions are right around the corner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. This time, I'm going to recess this meeting and call. We got a request for a closed session. General Statute 143-318.11.A-3 legal.
Mr. Chairman, I will make that motion that we go into closed session contingent upon a 10-minute recess to disperse and replenish bodily fluids.
Got a motion to hear a second.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. 10 minutes, we'll be back in